Welcome. Today, we're diving into a profoundly transformative explainer. We are looking closely at ACIM, specifically Lesson 121. And the core message here is forgiveness is the key to happiness. Now, I know that sounds like a lovely little sentiment, right? Something you'd probably read on a greeting card. But A Course in Miracles actually takes this concept and turns it into a rigorous, deeply practical tool for completely rewiring how you experience the world. So let's jump right in. Let me ask you this. What is the absolute answer to your search for peace? If you're looking for the key to finding meaning in a world that, let's be honest, often seems totally chaotic and senseless, the text provides a very direct answer. It tells us that our hopes for quietness, peace, and the end of all our agonizing uncertainty, they aren't found in changing the external world. They are found entirely internally. And that internal answer brings us right back to Lesson 121. Forgiveness is the key to happiness. The crucial takeaway here is that this isn't just a polite suggestion. It is presented as the literal answer to your search for peace. It's the one mechanism that ensures all your questions are finally answered. But to truly grasp why forgiveness holds this kind of immense power, we have to look at the alternative. We need to understand the exact state of mind we operate from when we're deeply unhappy. Section 1. The Unforgiving Mind. To understand why forgiveness is the key, we first have to explore the heavy, agitated reality of what the text calls the unforgiving mind. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean someone who is outwardly cruel. It's more about a mind trapped in a really painful way of looking at reality. This mind is defined by sadness, fear, and complete despair. The text describes it as being so full of fear that there's absolutely no room for love to spread its wings. It's a mind trapped in a self-made hell, peering around in the dark, terrified of every sound, but ironically, even more afraid of stillness. It's literally a state of constant, exhausting anxiety where you feel like danger is lurking around every single corner. And this beautifully illustrates the core error of the unforgiving mind. It confuses simple mistakes with sins. You see, the unforgiving mind cannot perceive correctable mistakes. Instead, it looks out at the world with sightless eyes and sees only absolute, condemning sins everywhere. A mistake is just an error, right? It can be fixed, you learn from it, you let it go. But a sin, in the way this mind perceives it, is a permanent stain. It's an unchangeable reality of guilt that demands punishment. Which brings us to this incredibly haunting quote from the text. What can the unforgiving mind perceive but its damnation? Because it sees sins everywhere, it essentially shrieks as it attacks its own projections. It wants to live, but the pain makes it wish it were dead. It desperately wants escape and forgiveness, but because it is so utterly convinced that everyone and everything around it is fundamentally flawed, it can't conceive of any hope. The tragic irony here is that it's furiously attacking a miserable parody of life that it actually made up all by itself. And this leads to the ultimate trap. The mind truly thinks it cannot change. It sits in total despair because it assumes its judgment of the world is completely irreversible. It doesn't even think to question its own beliefs. It assumes it knows the absolute truth about people, about the world, and about itself. And by doing that, it condemns itself to even more misery. It thinks, well, this is just the way the world is, and this is just the way I am. It never asks for a new perspective because it's just so incredibly certain that its own painful view is the right one. Section 2. Learning to forgive. But here is the profound shift. And honestly, the good news. We are not permanently stuck in this darkness. The text points out that forgiveness is an acquired skill. We don't just have to sit around and suffer. There is a highly specific, practical way out of the despair. Now, forgiveness isn't an inherent trait in your true mind because your true mind, according to the text, cannot sin and therefore doesn't even need to forgive. But because you taught yourself this painful idea of sin and judgment, you now have to actively learn forgiveness to undo it. You learn this from a teacher representing your higher self. It's a tool used intentionally to release yourself from the illusion that you or anyone else are permanently flawed. This brings us to a massive light bulb moment in Lesson 121. The unforgiving mind does not believe that giving and receiving are the same. Think about our everyday logic. If I give you something, I lose it, right? Well, the text flips this entirely on its head. To escape your own personal hell, you must become the hope for another unforgiving mind. Why? Because teaching salvation, giving forgiveness to someone else, is exactly how you learn it and receive it for yourself. Giving and receiving are quite literally the exact same thing. Section 3. The Daily Practice. So, How do we actually put this deeply philosophical concept into action today? It's one thing to talk about giving and receiving being the same, but how do we do it? Well, the text is incredibly practical here. It gives us a highly focused exercise asking us to carve out just 10 minutes. 10 minutes in the morning and another 10 at night. Just 20 minutes a day to potentially unlock the key to your happiness and break free from that cycle of despair. It's a tiny investment of time for a truly monumental shift in perception. The practice itself is broken down into 4 distinct steps. Picture an enemy, find a spark of light, picture a friend, and then transfer that light. The text tells us to start those 10 minutes by closing your eyes and picturing someone you really do not like. It could be someone who actively annoys you or someone you truly despise. It honestly doesn't matter. Just pick someone who triggers that unforgiving mind in you. Once you have this enemy pictured in your mind's eye, here comes the real work. You have to look past your judgment. Look at this ugly picture you hold of them until you perceive some little spark of light somewhere, just a tiny gleam of brightness you'd never noticed before. You have to actively hunt for this light, and when you find it, you let that light extend until it covers them completely, transforming that mental image into something beautiful and good. You are deliberately overriding your own judgment with a vision of their inherent worth. Once you can hold that changed perception, the next step is to turn your mind to someone you consider a friend. You then try to transfer that exact same light you just learned to see around your enemy, and you give it to your friend. By doing this, the text says you will perceive your friend as so much more than just a friend. In that light, their holiness shows you your savior, healed and whole. Section 4, Escaping Together. Let's explore why we actually do this. By transferring this light from the enemy to the friend, you're bridging the ultimate gap. You're realizing that the light in the person you hate is the exact same light in the person you love. This shatters the ego's categorization of the world into good guys and bad guys, proving to your mind that giving forgiveness and receiving it really are one and the same mechanism. And this leads to a profound realization. Now are you one with them and they with you? Now have you been forgiven by yourself? By letting your friend and your enemy unite in your mind, blessing you with the light that you first chose to give to them, you experience a massive psychological release. You realize you literally cannot be free while holding someone else in bondage in your mind. Their escape absolutely guarantees yours. To really lock this in, the lesson urges you to remember this concept every single hour throughout the day, not just during those 20 minutes. You're asked to tell yourself, forgiveness is the key to happiness. I will awaken from the dream that I am mortal, fallible, and full of sin. It's a constant, hourly reminder that you have the power to wake up from this painful dream of judgment and step directly into peace. So, I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. Who will you find the light in today to unlock your own happiness? As you go about your day and inevitably encounter people who irritate you, anger you, or disappoint you, remember that the key to your own peace is resting right there in how you choose to see them. Will you stay trapped in the unforgiving mind, or will you use the key? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Now go out there and see what happens when you look for the light.